warships often receive colorful nicknames, and it isn't entirely clear why the 5th Nimitz-class aircraft carrier to enter service in the United States Navy was dubbed Black Pearl, but given the ship's record there clearly was no curse tied to the USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72. The second Navy ship to be named after the former president, she has served as the flagship for Carrier Strike Group 12, CSG-12, since April 2019, an incredible history. Over the past 30 years, the carrier has carried out multiple humanitarian missions in the Persian Gulf and Pacific regions, as well as combat operations. Launched in 1988, USS Abraham Lincoln was delivered to the U.S. Navy in 1989. She is similar in design to the other Nimitz-class carriers, and is 1.092 feet in length, has a beam of 252 feet and a draft of 41 feet. The warship displaces 97,000 tons while her flight deck, which is approximately 4.5 acres, is serviced by 4 hangar elevators. The carrier is also equipped with 4 steam catapults and can carry up to 90 fixed-wing and rotary aircraft. As a floating airport, the carrier is home to 5,680 sailors and Marines, including a crew of 3,200 as well as 2,480 serving in the Air Wing. USS Abraham Lincoln was ordered on her first Western Pacific deployment in response to Operation Desert Shield/Desert Storm in 1991. However, while en route to the Indian Ocean, the warship was diverted to support evacuation operations following the eruption of Mt. Pinatubo on Luzon Island, Republic of the Philippines, and led the efforts of Operation Fiery Vigil, the largest peacetime evacuation of active-duty military personnel and family members in history. The carrier led a 23-ship armada that successfully sea-lifted 20,000 evacuees. CVN-72 took part in Operations Southern Watch and Vigilant Sentinel in the late 1990s and was ordered to the Persian Gulf to take part in Operational Iraqi Freedom. Beginning in 2013, the warship underwent her midlife refueling and complex overhaul, during which more than 2.5 million man-hours of work were conducted on the ship. She rejoined the fleet in May 2017. With the completion of its 49.5-month overhaul, Abraham Lincoln also became the first carrier in the U.S. Navy's fleet that will be able to operate Lockheed Martin F-35C Joint Strike Fighters from its decks, a record breaker. In January 2020, the carrier arrived at her new homeport in San Diego, completing a record-breaking 295 days at sea. The longest post-Cold War-era deployment for any U.S. aircraft carrier, the Black Pearl also has had some notable firsts during her service. She also became the first Pacific Fleet carrier to integrate female aviators into the crew after the combat exclusion laws were lifted in April 1993. USS Abraham Lincoln also became the first carrier to have a female commander, after the Navy announced in December 2020 that Captain Amy Bauernschmidt would assume command. She was previously the first woman to serve as an executive officer, XO, on board a carrier, a position she also held on the Abraham Lincoln from September 2016 to January 2019. The native of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, graduated from the United States Naval Academy in May 1994. The first graduating class in which women were allowed to serve aboard combatant ships and aircraft. The Nimitz-class aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, is back at sea for the first time in more than 4 years. The massive 100,000-ton vessel is undergoing sea trials after completing her refueling complex overhaul, RCOH, which happens once at the 25-year halfway point of a carrier's 50-year lifespan. With the completion of its 49.5-month overhaul, Lincoln is the first carrier in the U.S. Navy's fleet that will be able to operate Lockheed Martin F-35C Joint Strike Fighters from its decks. Our team has worked hard to get USS Abraham Lincoln ready to redeliver to the fleet. She has undergone significant combat systems modernization and will also be the first CVN capable of accommodating the F-35C Lightning II. Rear Admiral Brian Antonio, Naval Sea Systems Command's Program Executive Officer for Aircraft Carriers, said in a May 9 statement. This RCOH enables the ship to meet future missions and continued service life requirements for many years to come. According to Service, sailors assigned to Lincoln, shipbuilders from Huntington Ingalls Industries Newport News Shipbuilding, HINNS, the Navy's supervisor of shipbuilding, conversion and repair and Naval Sea Systems Command personnel will put the ship through its paces over the next 4 days. The different groups will have to work side by side to test the carrier's key systems and technologies to ensure Lincoln is ready to re-enter the fleet. Sea trials will provide an opportunity to test comprehensive ship-wide repairs and combat system modernization items worked over the duration of the overhaul, reads a NAVSEA statement. Abraham Lincoln and its crew will undergo multiple training scenarios and qualification evolutions during its sea trials to ensure that the ship is performing as expected. "We are looking forward to taking the ship out on the open water where we belong," Captain Amy Bauernschmidt, Lincoln's executive officer, said. "I am honored to serve with our crew. This dedicated and impressive group put an incredible amount of work into revitalizing this ship. We are grateful for their efforts and to our partners at Newport News Shipbuilding, and eagerly anticipate completing successful sea trials and returning to the fleet ready for tasking later this year."